Dear all, in this super short video today, I will bring you a very interesting way to easily open the heart of the person in front of you, even if you have just met for the first or second time. With this skill, you can make someone like you. However, this requires a certain skill. It is not natural. This skill was derived from a conversation with a communication expert, Oprah Winfrey. She is a famous person in the world of communication. Although she is a talk show host, her style of hosting is more like a conversation rather than a typical stage presentation. She has talked to many famous people throughout her career and has had conversations with tens of thousands of people. In one of her shows, she said that she had talked to nearly 30,000 people, and they all had one thing in common: they all wanted recognition. When we try to buy something, when we make an effort, we always want recognition. If someone sincerely and appropriately recognizes our efforts, we will be grateful and open our hearts to them immediately. Of course, some people may immediately think of flattery, but many people have negative thoughts. So I believe that in the minds of many people, the word should or ought to is emphasized because it means that you should not give others what you do not feel yourself. The pinnacle of communication, as I have discussed in these articles, is to recognize and acknowledge positive things about others. This requires a delicate observation and the ability to recognize something positive to acknowledge. Whether or not this opens up each other's hearts depends on this. So here's an exercise for you. When you meet someone, even for the first time, just have a normal conversation. Meet new customers or acquaintances at the end of the day and have a normal conversation. The key is to run a question in your head about what the person has that you can recognize, whether there is something good that you can acknowledge or not. Run that question in your head. Sometimes in a conversation that lasts 30 minutes, you may discover only one thing to acknowledge, but if you record it, you will have won a huge point in their hearts. Now, you meet a woman and have a normal conversation. Don't rush to praise or criticize her. Just have a normal conversation because of work. Don't talk about work first, talk about studying or something. In the process, observe, and observe until you finally discover something, like her fashion sense. After a normal conversation, at a moment when you are having fun, for example, just say, "I have to acknowledge that you have your own fashion style, don't you? I can see that it's not just something you randomly bought, but it's your own style." After saying this, if she really has a fashion sense, she will feel delighted and impressed. This is a real discovery, and I think it will take a long step forward in establishing a relationship with that person. If you meet someone who arrives before you, for example, and there is a point to acknowledge it right away. If they come early and are on time, even better. When you step in and meet the person who arrived early, say something like, "Oh my God, I wish I could be early like you." This is not just about credibility, but also about being fun. Have you eaten anything yet? Do you want to drink some water, or may I order something for you? For example, if we just met and I say something like that, it shows that I have a good impression of you. I have noticed that it is a good way to praise someone immediately. But don't overdo it. Of course, you need to practice enough to be able to compliment someone quickly in just a few seconds. That requires training. But don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you have a conversation for 30 minutes and you only compliment once, if it is true and appropriate, it will still make the other person feel good. Just ask yourself what the other person has that you can recognize and genuinely acknowledge. I think that just one compliment can make them feel very different and even open their hearts to you. Successful people are often intelligent and knowledgeable, and they are also reserved. Really.